what's up everyone? This is Wicked, and this is my homie Noah. We're going to be doing a
Yep.
tutorial for you to show you Grand Theft Auto 5's drift tuning. How to drift, things you need to know about drifting in the game, building a drift car, knowing certain aspects of the tuning of a drift car, things to watch out for on a drift car, and understanding how to use the drift cars in Grand Theft Auto 5. Alright, so we have a Futo GTX here. It is not drift tuned.
You know? Vroom, vroom, skirt.
Because I'm about to show you something about drift tuning. Are you sure you want to install the drift tune on this vehicle? Please note that any install performance modifications are unavailable on drift vehicles, but they will be reapplied if the tune is removed. Take that seriously, because I have an engine tune. I have brakes. I have turbo. I have transmission. Suspension, it will let you tune on a drift tuned car. But there is another thing going on. With some vehicles that are drift tunable, it will revert a car. The FR68, I believe it's called, which is the Infinity, is one of those cars. Noah here had to rebuild it 4 times to get it the way he wanted it, because he would paint it and modify it and then tune it, and all that work was gone and he was losing money. So don't do what I've done here and build your car up how you want it and then drift tune it. Only install your engine tune, your brakes, your transmission, your turbo, and your suspension. Only upgrade performance on your drift car. Then install your drift tune. Because now we cannot adjust our brakes. We cannot adjust an engine tune. We no longer can do transmission or turbo.
Hey player, make sure you check out my latest
Only
ride.
suspension. I'm not saying this because because some cars are different than others. I'm saying this because I did it earlier on this car and it reverted it. I had to rebuild this car. Don't modify your car outside of performance until you install the drift tune. So do all your performance, then drift tune it, then modify your car. Otherwise, you're gonna have issues.
Yes, he's right. And the car that he was trying to, the Infinity you were naming, it's called a ZR350. That's the car that I built. I put drift tune on it, and it went back to stock 4 times.
We need to show you this. This is the Yosemite Drift, and this thing is all built up and ready, but it does not have a drift tune on it. And what happens when you throw a drift tune on some vehicles, it reverts the car. Go ahead, bro. Let's see that. You throw a drift tune on this truck and watch what happens.
Yo, did you see Susana go around that track the other day? Shit was ludicrous.
It just reverts back to stock
I could still
with
beat
some of the physical work. Alright, so we have our drift tune installed. Now we're going to go on to the next section, wheels and tires. Noah here has track wheels. My Fudo GTX still has the stock wheel and tire. Reason being is I want to show you something. Do not drift on a stock wheel and tire. The car feels way too weighty, way too clunky, and you're not going to be able to have the best of control of your car while you have the stock tire. Don't get me wrong, you can drift quite decently, but you're not going to have the control you're going to want. It feels too stiff. It feels like I'm fighting my car while drifting. Can aiming is going to suck. Togging is going to suck. Just drifting in general, your car feels heavy and stiff. Let's follow Noah while he's on a tracks tire. Go for it, Noah. Show them what a wheel tire can do. Notice how he has control. He doesn't feel heavy at all. That car, he doesn't even need to use full throttle. He can feather his throttle. Well, I have to slam my throttle just to keep the car out of drift. Notice how I am all over the track and he is pretty fluid. He has a lot more control of his car. Don't drift on a stock tire. You can drift on a Benny's, but it's going to be a lot more slippery than most people like. Some people like a slippery drift. Some people like a little bit of grip. Street and track are what you're going to want. So,
Come by the test track and catch some
installing
of Hal's
wheels,
donuts. Fresher than the bakery,
we've
baby.
tested this. High end, they're not that great. You get good grip, you get good drifting, but they grip too much.
Maybe. Yeah, they do.
Lowrider, muscle, off-road, they're too grippy where you can slide, but again, too much grip where you can't actually get decent cornering. Sport and tuner,
And I'm just
they're not so grippy, but they're not so slippery where they don't drift well.
Hey, player, make sure you check out my latest ride.
SUV I've never tested, but I don't think they're gonna really react well. What you're gonna want
you gotta do.
is a track tire. Or a street tire.
And I would just say this now. What he just named, all of those wheels are better than the stock. We tested
Any
it the
drift
other
car.
night.
Any
Yeah.
drift car will perform better than stock.
Yes. I've tested it myself.
Mimi's sick.
So
but
I'm
she
gonna
don't go
install
harder than me,
Deep
yo.
Flake
I mean,
Reverse
like,
street
almost,
tires.
But this player gonna keep you guessing, you know?
I'm going from my favorite color.
Bronze.
I love a bronze wheel on a car. And
Doesn't.
I'm gonna throw on some tire logos because drift cars gotta have a good look, right? Bulletproof
Yeah.
tires are a must. Now, some cars you can put low grip tires on them. If you want a really slippery drift, low grip tires help. Benny's are the same way. You get a lot more slippery of a drift. So, go for a track or a street tire when putting wheels on your drift car. Alright, now we're at the track. We have our street tires. Now let's see how we do on a street or a track tire. Notice how my car actually was controlled in it. Tire is a huge impact. Street, track. Benny's on some cars does better than on others. If you like a slippery drift, Benny's are for you. Low grips are for you. If you're just getting into drifting though, stick to a street and a track tire.
But I do have a drift car with Benny's, and soon as we're done here, I'm gonna bring that car to the track and show you what he's talking about. And it's actually not a terrible car on Benny's.
Looks pretty controllable. Looks real fluid, real smooth. Drifts like a dream.
Yep. But this is the best you can get
Street tire, track tire.
for track.
Trust us. As we mentioned earlier, here's a drift car on Benny's. This is the Fathom FR36, which is the Infinity. This car, we also mentioned, if you modify it and upgrade it, like I mentioned not to, before installing the drift tune, it will revert it all the way back to a stock car. So put your performance upgrades on, then drift tune it. That way you don't lose any modifications that you don't want to lose on your car. But as we also mentioned, drifting a car on Benny's, notice how slippery this thing is. It slides a lot more than a street and a track tire. Some people like a car that drifts a lot slipperier. Benny's wheels. I believe the same effect happens with low brakes. I have not tested low brakes, so I cannot confirm this.
Oh, we will if we have to.
I'm not going to. But as you can see, I spin out a lot easier. I am not fond of Benny's. I'm not fond of the way they look. But yes, they are very slippery. You can still feather and you can still have a lot of throttle control. But it's a lot slipperier, so you get a lot more angle easier. It's a lot more punchy of control. So, Benny's wheels, if you're just starting out drifting, I wouldn't suggest putting on your car to drift unless you really want to challenge yourself or really just want to get into drifting really fast. Depending on how you learn and depending on the type of person you are, I can't really. Some cars drift better than others in certain tires. As you can see, Benny's tires, it's really a slippery car. It's like driving on straight ice. Basically driving on black ice surface. You have a lot more speed and a lot more slide. So drift at your own risk with a Benny unless you're very familiar. You enjoy drifting with a lot more slide and less of a grip behind it. You do want some grip. But like I said, I've got some people who really like drifting on a Benny's because they just like the control they can get out of it. I can't really control as well as I can with street control. It's all preference really. So yeah, just take that into consideration. You can drift pretty good on a Benny's. I have never seen it in Formula 1, so I don't know how F1s do. But Benny's tires are very good on drift cars, but it is going to be a lot more slippery, so it is going to be a little bit more Some people might take that with a grain of salt. I'm just going off of my experience with this. Just kind of taking it how I see it. Some people like Benny's wheels a lot more than the traditional wheels that we get in the game. If you like your Benny's wheels, go for it. But I'm just warning you on a drift car. It's a lot more to handle. As you can see, I basically am spinning out in a lot of these corners because of the Benny's wheels. I'm not too fond of these. They are way too slippery. Now we are going to show you the basics of drifting in Grand Theft Auto 5. Unlike most games like Need for Speed, Forza, Gran Turismo, any other racing game you can think of that has a drifting mechanic,
The Crew.
The Crew,
It's a
Most
damn good game.
games don't have such an arcadey drifting style. They actually are technical. Some games you need to use the brakes and the e-brake and actually need that to initiate. In Grand Theft Auto 5, you do not need to touch your brakes or your e-brake at all. Notice, you can tell when I'm applying brake on my car. Do not touch your brakes. You only need throttle and steering. Throttling down, I let off to transition. Notice that you have not seen a brake light. I let off, let the car slide, and get right back on. I let off, transition, throttle down. Let the car slide, and step on the gas. I have yet to touch my brakes. Let off the gas, slide the car, step right back on the gas. That's all you need to do. Just gas and steering. When letting off the gas, it acts like your brakes for your engine. I will repeat. Throttle down. Let off the gas to transition. And step right back on the throttle.
Holy cow! Now, that I needed a break. That was good.
The only time you'll ever need to touch the brakes on your car is if you're going too fast and actually need to slow down. Some drifting in the game, you're going to want to touch your brakes. But you're never really going to need your e-brake. All you're going to need is your gas and your steering. Notice how I hit the brakes there. That kind of threw my drifting out of whack. If I was to hit the e-brake, it throws the car into a hard initiation. I don't need my e-brake. Again, e-brake, notice how it throws my car hard. Just let off the gas, let the car slide around your corner a bit, and get right back on the throttle to pull the car around. Simple enough, should be easy to understand and follow. And if you listen closely, you can hear every time I am on and off. Off, and I'm on. Off, and I'm on. You'll hear it in this next section. Off, slide, on. Off, transition, on. In order to get comfortable with drifting, you do need to get a feel for your drift car. An easy way to do this is figure eights. Come down to the test track in the car meet, find 2 pillars, and just get a feel for doing some figure eights around those. You can use your e-brake to get a feel as well. I have not touched mine yet, but I will explain what I am doing. Throttle down, let off, let your car pass, hit the e-brake if needed to help the slide, get right back on, and just transition your car and do some figure eights. Figure eight helps you get a feel for cornering left and right, and just basic control of the drift car. Some of the very basic maneuvers in drifting are pretty much the figure eight. So if you can get a feel for a figure eight, you should have some of the basic maneuvering down of how to drift. Basically, throttle off, let your car slide around. When you're halfway around, throttle back on. Pass the pillar, let off, let your car slide around, get right back on. And just do it back and forth. Off, past the pillar, let the car rotate, back on when you get right behind. Go back around, let off, let the car transition. As you come around, back on the throttle. Just back and forth, do some figure eights. Figure eights are your best friend. When cornering, drift racing has a sense of different driving. You want to drift wide. So enter the outside of a corner and drift to the inside. Show us what I mean, Noah. Starts on the outside and works his car to the inside on every corner. Work yourself to the outside, let off the gas, and transition towards the inside of the corner. Notice how he works to the outside and then starts to drift towards the inside of the corner. Some corners, you literally have to let off the gas and let the car slide itself around as you're throttling on. So think driving wide. When drifting, you have to take your corners wide. Slide from the outside to the inside and right back out. Beautifully done, Noah. Outside to in. Some corners like this one is the opposite though. Inside to out. Back to the inside and back to the out. Since this is such a bigger corner, you want to go inside to out. It's called a racing line. When drifting, you need to find a drift line that follows the track. This is one you want inside to out. Notice, sometimes you spin out, that's okay. That's part of learning. Get back in it. Okay, now that we've discussed steering wide, let's discuss the next thing, throttle control. Most drift cars in this game, you don't need to be throttle wide open. Halfway to a quarter on your trigger, if you use you're going to want you use your triggers to drift. Halfway down on your trigger for throttle is what you're mostly going to need, depending on the car. This one, you don't even need full throttle. About half of your trigger for half throttle is all you're going to need to keep this car out of drift. With that, sometimes your car will have a tendency to want to spin out. A trick, let off the throttle and back on the throttle. It acts like a clutch. In some form of drifting, it's called a clutch kick. Sometimes your car wants to spin or slide and lose its power. If you feel like you're losing power in your drift, like right there, give it a slight kick to the clutch, meaning let off the gas and get right back on the gas. So while he's sliding, he'll come around a transition and get off and on the throttle to give him more power. Did you see that? It helps. If you're not if you don't feel like you got the power, let off the throttle and get right back on it, and your car will gain power to continue the drift. The biggest challenges in drifting is steering. Most people don't understand countersteer. Instead of turning into the corner like you would normally, you want to turn out. So as your car slides, turn towards the outside of the turn. This is countersteering. As I'm sliding, you watch my front wheel. Turn to the outside of the corner. This is countersteering. Helps keep the front end stable so that the back end doesn't go all the way around and catch up. Because if you turn into this turn all the way, you're just going to spin out and start doing donuts. So when driving a drift car, you need countersteer. That's why a lot of the times you get that stylish look of drifting where you'll see them turning in the direction of the car's slide. We're doing that to maintain the drift. It's called countersteering. And with the drifting mechanic, sometimes you need to play with the countersteer and normal steering to keep that drift maintained. I'm going to drift around for a while. I want you guys to focus on my steering. You'll see what I'm talking about.
In the movie, Doc mentions to in the Queen, he said turn right to go left. That's what he said.
That's exactly what Hudson was meaning. Sometimes you find yourself going left while turning right.
That's what McQueen did.
If you notice, I initiate and then steer immediately the opposite direction as I apply gas. That's because I'm countersteering to keep it. So as I come around the corner, I turn my wheels in the direction of the turn as I'm sliding. But with the drifting mechanics, sometimes you gotta kind of play with the steering and maintain that drift. You'll get the feel for that as you start drifting. Corners like this one is what I'm talking about. You sometimes have to play with the steering to keep it sideways and sliding through the corner. Otherwise you spin out or you end up just doing donuts. And sometimes you can't maintain the drift without actually adjusting your steering to keep that angle adjusted. Sometimes you have to steer into the corner instead of against it. Continue feeding angle and adjusting your angle. This is probably the most complicated part about drifting, is steering. You gotta understand the flow of your car. Sometimes it wants more angle, sometimes it's too much angle. The main thing with this is understanding how much throttle and how much steering you need to maintain that drift. I'm about half throttle and I'm just fighting my corner. Alright, me and Noah have now entered a race to help you understand drift racing in the game. Multipliers. You get a score by speed and angle on your drift, not by your position on the track.
That one's close up.
You notice down here on my bottom right, let's see, I am at a 2.0 right now and climbing. The more angle and the more speed, the faster you'll get a drift point. You'll gain drift points. On the left side of the race here, you see these blue and white posts. These are called precision drift bonuses. Drift close enough and you obtain a precision drift. Instant 1,000 points and a bonus on your drift multiplier. In practically all drift races, most if not all of them, you will see zones throughout the track that are marked green like this ahead of us. These are known as bonus zones. They give you, I want to say double, but they pretty much increase your multiplier faster and you get way more points when you drift a bonus zone. Take advantage of these bonus zones to really, really get the most drift out of them. The better you drift, the bigger the bonus. If you pay attention, you'll see my drift and my multiplier are highlighted right now because I am in the bonus zone. Bonus zones are a very huge, easy way to actually increase drift score. Normal races, a drift race consists of checkpoints, but there's a number of things. Precision drifting, angle and speed make your multiply faster, which ups your score. You only score by corner and by drifting. Speed is your best friend in a race, but also angle. The way they score a drift is by your angle and your speed and style. So the more you angle your car, the better you will actually score. Notice the more angle my car has, the faster my multiplier in the bottom right goes up. This is the thing you want to know in a drift race. Because position on the track does not matter. What matters is how fast your car is moving and how much angle you are obtaining. Also, if you spin out, that will end your drift. If you hit walls or hit obstacles, that will cancel your drift, resetting you to a 0 multiplier. You probably noticed that throughout this video right here.
Yeah, way behind you, I messed up.
But you're actually in first place on the race, Noah. You have been getting the highest
Yeah, I'm not
score.
trying to be.
See how I just lost multiplier and score? That is why I'm behind.
Yeah.
I am not actually focusing on
So what do
racing. I'm focusing on showing
Yeah.
what happens when you actually
So-
do mess up.
In other words, it don't matter if you're in front of the other guy. What matters is your score.
Yep. Don't care
So
about
he's
your
up in
position.
front of me now.
Focus on you
Nope.
and your drifting. A drift race is all about style.
This is
We had a little bit of a technical difficulty. We lost Noah. His internet kind of bugged out. Oh, it bugged out big time. He just left party and everything. But because of that bug out, we got this fun. This is great.